Hello everyone and welcome back to PyAL Life. This is Otaku Showboat and today we are going to discuss the life that we have available to us now that we are in a green science world. That's right, we will discuss both the optional life that we had available to us at red science going into green, as well as everything that is now available to us at some point in green science, plus one more additional case where we can actually get some things a little bit early. Not necessarily that we have to make anything with them at this point. As I realize, even what I have displayed here is not everything, because there is still one more thing. There is still one more thing that I haven't even talked about, so or put down here, because there's just so much stuff available to you at green science. It is just nuts how much of Pi Alien Life really opens up at green science. In fact, I would say that this is the majority now of stuff that you will have access to. There's really not. There are more creatures that really become available to you after Pi Science. I'll make this note. After Pi Science, a lot of stuff will open up to you. And after getting into up through production and utility science, there's still going to be a couple more things after that. So just keep in mind a lot of this is just going to be from my experiences playing through at Green Science. I have not gone further than my Green Science world. I have not set up actual Blue Science yet, but as we will see very shortly, you have Blue Science. You have Blue Science. Uh, when you're at green science, it doesn't take a ton of extra work to also have blue, and we will get to that very shortly. So, optional things that were available at red science that you can now truly do at green, and I would suggest doing at green rather than doing at red. Uh, First up, obvious would be the mushrooms, thalgi. Phalgi are technically now the very first thing that you could do that is your first example of the Pi Alien Life mechanics. As of this current state, this day of recording, of course, everything is subject to change, it being still relatively early on since the release of Pi Alien Life. Mushrooms are technically the earliest you can encounter the new life mechanics, but you don't necessarily need them at Red Science. You can use them. You can absolutely use them. I would not really suggest doing so until after you have green, some amount of green science. It is absolutely worth making mushrooms so that you can make aug food. Aug food is one very important upgrade that I would highly suggest doing. This will increase the likelihood of being able to actually make a caged aug. It will also increase your output of manure. So this will allow you to more easily scale up your urea production at the early phases of green science. So if you're still early on, you've just gotten to green science, this is highly suggested, is to get your mushrooms going so that you can make the aug food with it. That is my suggested use of mushrooms early on. And I would also suggest any other food item, basic food item that uses thalgi, do that recipe. Do the recipes that use the basic food. Not anything else besides the basic food at this phase of the game. There will be times where you want to use like the bedding recipes and all that, and while we will be able to make bedding from some of this stuff that we'll talk about, uh, I I just generally speaking, wouldn't really suggest doing the bedding stuff. We need more balancing changes potentially. Um, it's up to you. Later recipes that use the bedding and such, those are very likely a lot more worth it. Just depends on the scale of your base and all of that, and how much you don't want to scale the actual life buildings themselves versus having a bigger back end of other stuff and complexity and all that good stuff to decide. But anyway, so Faugi. Faugi are available from red. That's first note. And then Kikalk. Kikalk is one that was available to you going into green science. You could have used it to make raw fiber at green science for the fiber board for the PCB1 for the circuits. You could have set up Kikalk for this. I would suggest just doing wood into raw fiber because you can do wood into raw fiber now. I suggest early on doing that. I suggest doing this transition to getting raw fiber out of Kikalk at green, at early phases of green. Just get non-zero green science and then do this transition to as part of a general scaling of your circuit production. I was just doing this as you are thinking about scaling your circuit 1 production. That is important. Getting the first Kikalk is relatively simple. Getting the first mushroom is relatively simple. I will show these recipes up here. So the first Kikalk is going to need cDNA, again, cDNA, and alien sample 1. So clearly we'll have set up green science by now for the Kikalk because we'll have our alien sample 1s. If we have our alien sample 1s, we've got our green science, basically, is part of my point with the Kikalk. It's like we may as well wait on that. And then I didn't actually end up putting down Faugi, but here we go. Steam gives us initial Faugi as well as spores. Now there is a building called the Spore Extractor, if I can even find it in this list. Here it is, the collector. Spore collectors. These are required for fungus. Fungi, glorious fungi. You could also do, like, stuff and things. Now, with the Faugi, I need to look into this more. That's something I need to do. You'll initially be able to do a 0.4 recipe. There are 4 different mushrooms in total. Right now we're talking about Faugi, but we'll also be able to do stuff with Bodos, and technically also with Navans. Right now, these guys. Spoiler alert, we're probably not going to want to make these yet. I'm going to go over what we have available to us at green here, and that we didn't talk about previously. So yeah, it's just place the building and you've got the spores. Just place the building, you've got the spores for the first stuffs. Oh hey, look, it's ground samples. So again, you're working towards green science anyway with the Faugi. Okay. Besides those, what's now available? I guess I will start with the plants and the fungi, and I guess I'll start with Navans. Navans will need an alien sample 2, tier 2. As well as the codices. This codex is Circuit Board 2. Circuit Board 2. So you won't be able to do much with this until you are able to actually get Circuit Board 2s on the Nobbins, which means effectively you're really transitioning into a blue science world at that point. But what you can get is Alien Sample 2, or Tier 2, at the green science phase. This is made in Gene Labs. It requires all of these things. All of these glorious things. I'm just coming down here to grab a Gene Lab so we can have a look at this in the lab itself. Because this is very important. A lot of the stuff that we have available to us will be locked behind the Alien Sample 2s. This will need Formamide. Formamide is made in an FB reactor out of ammonia and carbon dioxide. Hey, it's our good friend ammonia again. In this time, the FB reactor, I'm looking to see if I even have any of these guys in the inventory right now. So yeah, formamide right there. Also, microfiber. I think microfiber is made in a pulp mill. One of these guys. So microfiber is made early now. You need it out of fiber and sodium hydroxide, which also means centrifuges. So you'll have to be able to make centrifuges to get the fiber. And hey, raw fiber. Kickalk. There, Ergo, why I really suggest doing Kickalk more at the green science phase, because you'll need it for this stuff, right here. Now, you already should have plastic and alien sample 1s and glassware and biosamples by now. You will also need DNA polymerase and primers. I think that's going to end up being in these biofactories. Uh, Primers and which one is the DNA polymerase? Anyway, this is primers. There's only a 0.7 chance that you'll end up with primers, by the way, by doing this, but you have access to all of these ingredients. DNA polymerase is in what building? A gene lab. Okay, another gene lab. DNA polymerase. You need to do this out of Raux cocoons. You do not have access to Arthurians until PyScience. So bear that in mind. I will note that I will only show you what we have access to that we can actually make, that we can technically make, and not the stuff that we may be able to unlock that we can't actually make yet. Granted, the Navins here, Circuit 2's is technically available to you at green, but we probably won't be able to access that. So yeah, retrovirus, which again is more Vaux cocoons anyway, with lab instrument and glassware. So we can make this, we can make this, we can make these once we've set up a more consistent source of raw fiber out of the wonderful and beautiful Kickalk. Of course, remembering we need to do a few cycles of the Kickalk before we can really get it going. And that will be our alien sample tier 2s, which is very key. Very, very key for making a lot of stuff, such as Bodos. Bodos. We've got stuff we can make, including alien sample 2s. So we have moss samples, cDNA, biosamples. This is and the codex itself, which the codex itself is circuit 1, so we can make Bodos. Bodos acts at this point, think of it as food for other things. As for the Navins, don't worry. Don't worry. This stuff makes coal at this point in the game, and it consumes guts to make the Navins that will make coal. So don't worry about this. You've got other ways of getting coal right now. This is more going to be like food for other things later on. As will be Bodos. Bodos will be food primarily for you. Tufra are potatoes. They'll have a lot of use once you want to set up a whole processing chain to get sugar for energy drinks. There's a whole video that'll probably be about that. But Tufra, our space potatoes, are also available as soon as you get this stuff. Alien Sample 2s. Yotoi. Yotoi is going to be part of bedding, initial bedding recipes in particular. This, and it has several other things that it can be used for. But again, Alien Sample Tier 2s is what this gets locked behind. Cadaveric Aurum. To make a consistent supply of acid gas and sulfuric acid by virtue of the acid gas early on, as well as eventually DMS later on in the game. Again, Alien Sample Tier 2 to make these. And then Grodd, something pretty much exclusively used in betting at this phase of the game. This is Alien Sample 1 and cDNA. This is even easier than the other stuff to get your glorious Grodd. Your glorious Grodd. And note that some of this, it's red wire as well. And there's your plants and fungi that you have available to you currently. Granted, don't do this one. Don't do this one. Just ignore this one's existence for the moment. Just ignore it for the moment. It does not have too much value quite yet. Now, the animals. The animals. So, the first creature will be Ulrich. This will be an obvious upgrade. Think of Ulrich as an upgrade to Augs in general. Again, you need your alien sample tier 2s to make your Ulrich, so you're probably getting an understanding of what your first priority is going to be once you get into a green science world. Get alien sample 2s set up as like the moment you have transitioned into your robots and you've made a robot mall at green science, because of course that's what you're going to do. So you're going to get to green science, you're going to blitz the logistics robots techs and start building your mall with your logistics robots. I would say terminate your bus, whatever bus you have to this point, make a bot mall, and go from there. Just let stuff accrue, wait a little bit, let stuff accrue, set up alien sample 2s once that's done. And set it up as part of your mall so that you can put all this stuff on a bot-based mall and not have to worry about all the stupid belt logistics that you'll need to make these things. Because, of course, all of these you're just going to do a couple times and then probably never touch again anyway, so... Yeah, Ulrich. So again, alien sample 2s. Ulrich give you more. They give you more bone meal and they give you more manure than Augs. So at this point, once you can get to Ulrichs, and Ulrichs have a food that use Faugi, again pointing us out. Do the food recipes for the Ulrich. Uh, the basic food only recipes, not so much the bedding stuff. Ulrich will be a replacement for Augs. Consider them a replacement for the manure and the bone meal production in particular. Uh, Also, you can use them, make regular blood, and make brains and guts, and just do all of the rendering you can of excess. I guess at this point, your excess Augs, as well as have rendering of various body parts for Ulrich. They're not going to give you a lot of some things, but you want non-zero amounts of some things. So bear that in mind. You can do that with the Augs, or you can do that with the Ulrich. Uh, I'll move down the line from the Ulrich to here, the Fagnauts. Now these guys at green science level, they're primarily used for their gas bladders, but the only thing you can do with the gas bladders at this point is make CO2. So unless you want to do gas bladder based CO2, which I wouldn't really recommend, there's a lot of great things that the gas bladders give you, but they only pop up after pi science. So I would give this a wait on the Fagnauts, even though they are pretty early to make them. Just the alien sample 2s will let you get these, because you'll have everything else by now. Sea sponges. Again, while you can get the sea sponges, you can do literally nothing with them at this science tier anyway. So even though you can make them, and there's an Easter egg in the building for the sea sponges. Just there's no real point right now. The sea sponge uses arrive with this stuff and the quality Corlex food. You can't do the quality Corlex food for at Green Science. You don't have a use for propeptides at you can't do these at Green Science. You can't really get through to immunosuppressants and cytostatics and Fat Eye. You can't do these things at Green Science. So just keep that in mind. Again, one of those circumstances you can make it, but it has no use. Okay. Those are the simple things, the simpler animals to make. So really, the only thing that's like most value here is Ulrich of the creature type things. Caravans would be next to talk about because caravans, you need Augs, you need fetal serum. You need fetal serum. And this is going to be a pretty common element for a lot of other things with fetal serum. So, fetal serum, guts, silver, and glassware. Set up silver, you're basically done because you can just shove Augs into a slaughterhouse to give you guts, or Ulrich to give you guts, and there's your beautiful fetal serum. Congratulations, you have fetal serum, and also congratulations, you very much also now have blue science. Congratulations, you're now in a blue science world, technically. So, blue science, there is this thing called the Vat Brain Biocomputer. Blue science can be made out of red and green science, Nexalit, brains, small parts, crude oil, and fetal serum. So as soon as you've set up this fetal serum with silver and guts, and throw some extra brains at the situation, you've got a very slow, yet consistent supply of blue science. It's also very expensive because you're now spending red and green to get 1 blue science. You're spending 10 green science and 5 red science to get 1 blue science here. So this is not very cost effective to do, but it gives you a trickle of blue science. A trickle of blue science. And what does this really mean? This means that we also get access to a couple more creatures. Not so much stuff that we can do anything with. The Ziffo, note here this crustacean DNA. Note here this crustacean DNA. In the current state of the game, the crustacean DNA needs blue science to make the crustacean DNA. It needs blue science to do the crustacean DNA. Again, things may change. But, current state, getting fetal serum with Vat Brain blue science to get the crustacean samples will give you some Ziffo. You don't have anything that you can really do with the Ziffo yet. Again, this is going to be a source of, primarily, arthropod blood for vanadium, for the vanadium chain. So, as with before, where you're getting blood for the vanadium chain out of this Ziffo, it's the same deal here. And you'll have everything that you'll need as soon as you get the blue science out of the Vat Brain because you need the field serum. Everything else is going to be locked behind artificial blood. Everything else is going to be locked behind artificial blood. Now, artificial blood is made out of albumin, which is made directly out of blood. So, blood to albumin. And you can do that easily with rendering in slaughterhouses. And Flutec PP6. Flutec PP6 is going to require decalin and cobalt fluoride. The decalin is pretty simple. The cobalt fluoride, not so much. The cobalt fluoride will come out of rare earth, so you need to like do the entire rare earth processing chain to get rare earth oxides. You need acid gas, so you're going to like set up Aurum to get some acid gas. Uh, Cobalt extract is going to come from mixed ores with cyanic acid and pressure air. Tholin the cyanics, and the mixed ores are going to be copper, rare earth ore, and nickel. So yeah, it's gonna take a little while, but once you do get the artificial blood, you will have access to Muckmo. Muckmo, glorious, beautiful Muckmo. Say hello to what will be the best manure producers available to you at this time. It's also, of course, going to prioritize lard on the production. Muckmo's primary lard on its output, better than Ulrich, to say the least, on its lard production capabilities with Muckmo. So that's what you'll do with your Muckmo. You'll also get access to Corlex, which will need some fish. So let's take a brief moment to discuss fish. So fish will have you can do fish relatively early. You don't have a creature chamber recipe to make fish because you fish for fish. You fish for fish. I don't have any fish on this map because I did like a big delete on everything that was available and shown. I deleted them, but water bodies will have fish. Normally, water bodies will have fish, and you can harvest them, and that will be the initial fish for these buildings. That's going to be your initial fish for these buildings to give you more fish. It also gives you wastewater, which gives you urea, which gives you ammonia and cyanic acid and beautiful things. It gives you urea. It's a source of urea without manure. Yay! But yeah, fish. Fish is something that you can work with at Green Science as well. And just, saline, tar-based saline is probably the better way to go there. But yeah, Corlex. Corlex is used to make plastic. That's its primary use for Corlex. So it's going to be a producer of plastic for you. You literally milk them. You milk Corlex, and you process the milk into plastic. I am not joking. You process Corlex milk into plastic. So, hey, our completely bio-based plastic, as if we didn't have bio-based infinite means already of producing plastic out of aromatics and syngas. Yeah, okay. So, there's your completely 100% optional method of producing plastic. And that will leave us with Zipier, which, again, it's some fish and artificial blood. Of course, Zipier being a skin producer, that's really what you had used it for previously. This good old Zipier, what we originally had to use to make all of our bones and meat and blood and skin and all that good stuff. Yeah, it's good. It could be used like Zipier. You can make the reefs. The reefs are circuit ones. They'll be available to you. And again, you have to make the blue science out of vat brains to really have much use for them. Yeah, you can do things. You can get the Zipier, and you can get the rendering of the Zipier, and they give you arthropod blood for vanadium, and that's all they do. Congrats. That is all that they do. Are they the best at anything? I don't really think so, but are they easy to do? Yeah, they're probably a good mix, compromise between ease of production versus outputs. But yeah, I think I like the concept of having a consistent supply of six skin there. That might be one of the better ones, and probably one of the better arthropod blood outputs as well. But anyway, that will pretty much cover it. That actually covers it, folks. That is the set of creatures that you have available to you at Green Science as of the recording of this video. Note that in my playthrough, currently, I have Xenos because I started my playthrough before they were modified on when they unlock. Xenos in the current iteration, as of this recording, while they are Green Science Tech unlock, they are locked behind a PyScience Tech. So I will look at Xenos Stage 1. Oh, they are now a PyScience Tech too. So okay, sure. They're now also PyScience to unlock these. Good. Good, honestly, because you couldn't really do anything with them anyway, because you needed assisted embryology to do any of the breeding to get more Xenos. But the thing about the Xenos, these will be a source of sulfuric acid directly, a direct source of sulfuric acid, and a pretty good source of chitin as well, going on down the line. But they do need to be fed muckmo. At minimum, they need to be fed muckmo to make them. So yeah, lots of things. But yeah, they were locked behind this, so you needed PyScience anyway. And there is not a vat brain recipe to give you PyScience. There is not a vat brain recipe to give you PyScience. Which is why we're going to be eventually having videos about PyScience and all of that good stuff. However, I think it would be prudent of me to only really make these videos on content that I have actually gotten to. I mean, I didn't really on the other later videos of the main tutorial series. I did it with infinity mode. I looked up everything that I needed to look up. I don't think I missed too awfully much. So anyway, this is just me now thinking about what the future tutorials are going to hold. So let me know in the comments what other tutorial type things / overviews are you interested in seeing going forward, because it is at this point that I've covered in terms of progression as far as I have personally gotten in the PyAlien Life playthrough. Anything after this will be stuff that I have to do a bit more research for, and build out here on this map and basically learn as I present. So that is the caveat of things going forward. If I were to progress straight into the PyScience and like PyScience world situation, what creatures are available at PyScience? What do you need to make the PyScience? What do you need to do to progress into Purple Science? Because Purple Science is going to require a lot more work now than it used to. What work is needed to do real blue science? Because real blue science still exists. Real blue science still exists. In fact, the chemical science pack recipe, we have now covered Alien Sample 2, and everything else is identical. So it's at this point I can say, hey, watch my chemical science pack video and you've got a really good idea of how to get there. And this video talking about the Alien Sample 2s and how to get the Alien Sample 2s, well, that covers it. Everything else, like nothing has changed in optical fibers. It's still the niobium iron coating from the niobium iron alloy and Kevlar coating. It's still Kevlar. Kevlar hasn't changed in how to get Kevlar and TCL and all that. In fact, the only thing changed here is like how to get ammonia for the PPD. Like how you get ammonia for the PPD because you don't have the urea. You don't have as easy of production of urea as you used to. So it's at it's at this point where it's like, oh, actually, I sort of just covered alien sample twos in this recipe. So congrats, welcome, Chem Science. Go watch my videos on how to make optical fiber and circuit board twos, and stainless steel, and come back and there, voila, you're done. After spending over 100 hours of work, you're now done. But what will probably require some degree of discussion will be neuromorphic chips or neuroprocessors. Neuroprocessors, I think, is the one to get the uh, Pi science packs. Yes, Pi science packs requires neuroprocessors, and that's what we'll talk about. Because as you can see here, there's literally nothing outside of like once you get optical fiber, you've got both, and then you'll have Pi science and blue science, and you'll be good to go. So yeah, it's this will warrant its own separate video. With that, I will stop ranting and raving at this point about unrelated topics. I would like to thank you all for watching. This has been Otaku Showboat. If you have been enjoying this tutorial series thus far, do not forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the notification to help make this series appear higher up in YouTube search results. You can do all of the social stuff through the links in the description below this video, including supporting Pyanodon's monster development at patreon.com/Pyanodon and myself at patreon.com/Otaku Showboat. I will, of course, be back with another tutorial next time. I don't know what that tutorial is necessarily going to be at this point in time. I do want to talk a bit about each individual creature in a bit more depth and detail, so I think I may start those as we go forward, and I will, of course, see you all then.